Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video, and today we will be trying out a C0 free-to-play NAHIDA along with a free-to-play compatible team in the Spiral Abyss. We will be using NAHIDA on field, so she will be basically acting as our main DPS, although much of the damage will also be coming from Hyper Bloom, but we will be using our NAHIDA on field. So let's just take a quick look at the teams we're going to be using. We will be obviously going against floor 12. This is the 4.3 Spiral Abyss, I should note as well. So on the first half, we will be using NAHIDA, Xingqiu, Kirara, and Cookie, just because, they all have useful utility. They're all 4 stars. Kirara's mostly here just for shield, for survivability in the last chamber, and also for some danger resonance to give us about 50 more EM. And then on the second half, we will be doing a standard neuvillette furina team. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, now starting off, we do get HP Blessing, which isn't really useful for this team, but it will be on our second half, so, Now, we're going to start off with Xingqiu's Rain Swords, luckily sack procs, and we already have quite a few Dendro cores here for Hyper Bloom. And our rotation here is just going to be Xingqiu's Rain Swords, Kirara's Shield, and then into Cookie for Hyper Blooms, and then just doing damage on NAHIDA. And as you can see, we're already doing some pretty decent damage. He will be near half HP. We can start the rotation once again. Unfortunately, this guy flies in the air, so uptime could be a bit better on Xingqiu's ult, but oh well, it is what it is. And, okay, we do get him to below half HP here. I think this is actually a pretty decent run. We will save our ult for when the little things spawn in, which is now. So, okay, we've got him down to about a third of his HP. And we just start the rotation off once again. Now, what's really nice against this team is it's just really easy to play. And also because NAHIDA isn't like a proper on-field DPS, but you can on-field her, it just means you have a bit more flexibility when you play her. Which, honestly, I value quite a bit. It just makes her more comfortable to play, It's honestly, like, really nice quality of life. And as you can see, we're going to kill this thing relatively quickly. We're doing about 40k on the Hyper Boom tick, so yeah, pretty decent damage. And we're already onto the next half. So yeah, as you can see, the team's pretty strong. Now, the Thunder Manifestation can be a bit annoying with Neuvillette, not because it flies away, but just because, I mean, in this team specifically, you can struggle a little bit to get, Neuvillette stacks for doing different elemental reactions, but it is what it is. I think we only have 1 stack here, which is why we're doing around 27k damage. I would normally expect to have around 40k, up to 50k, but, oh well, it is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, we're still doing decent damage. We can honestly save a bit here on energy, so yeah, let's just say these two teams will go very well together. Considering the fact that the NAHIDA team cleared in less than 90 seconds, you can honestly put a slightly worse team here. Obviously, your goal is to clear every Spiral Abyss chamber in 90 seconds for both teams, but if one of them's quicker, then you can afford to spend a little bit more time on the other one. And you can also afford to make sure everyone has their ults for the next chamber, like I am right now. And we'll still have around 20 seconds to spare, so as you can see, the NAHIDA team and this team, very powerful indeed, so it's already onto the next chamber. Okay, chamber 2. Now, we don't get anything which will increase our damage, but we do get an ER buff, which, it's nice quality of life. Now, this chamber is slightly annoying just because of how the enemies spawn in, but like I said, since NAHIDA has some flexibility, this chamber should actually be relatively easily cleared. Now, when it came to, Al-Haytham, I had to, conserve his ult a little bit just to make sure I had it for when the next wave spawns in, but, if NAHIDA, I can switch to any character I want because she's not locked into anything, which obviously, like I said, I really like that flexibility, which is why I quite enjoy playing NAHIDA on field. Now, once again, we just start off our rotation. Once again, I'm just always happy when sack sword procs, It's just so annoying when it doesn't. But yeah, once again, we're just doing decent damage. We're clearing things here pretty well, so I think we should be able to clear this relatively easily. We have our ult for this wave as well. We do get slapped there, which is unfortunate, but oh well. Now, one of the key things about this team is that it just has so much survivability. Like, you have damage reduction from Xingqiu, you have Kirara's shield, and you have healing from Cookie. It's quite difficult for NAHIDA to die, which for me is especially important in the last chamber. It also means you can just basically Unga Bunga, which is, always fun. I like being able to turn my brain off, and once again, we're going to clear this in about 70 seconds, so okay, more like 80 seconds, but honestly, I could have played this more optimally. But, I rather just conserve bursts, and yeah, we've cleared another chamber really easily. Now, onto this chamber. Oh, I forgot about the Geoshields, if I'm being honest. I am glad I have Zhongli on this half. If I didn't bring Kirara, if you didn't have Kirara, you could just use Zhongli, or I don't know, Kurara and Zhongli are probably the two best shielders to use in that team, but honestly, you don't even need a shield. You could honestly go for someone like Fisher and go for more damage, but the way I looked at it was just, it's useful for the final chamber, just because the Hydro Teleport can do quite a bit of damage, and it can be quite annoying, so... Yeah, now, I know Zhongli Burst is normally a bit of a damage loss, but since these guys love moving around so much, I'm just going to use it anyway. Plus, we have plenty of time, and it's just a cool looking ult, so who cares? Now, once again, into the rotation. I actually don't think we needed to ult there. That was kind of unnecessary of us, but... Oh well, who cares? At least we still have 2 bursts of our ult for these guys. Just want to try and make sure I don't get hit, because if they hit you at the same time, ouch, it can hurt. And just the Zhongli shield here helps break through their shield, but honestly, we might kill them before we even finish their shield off. And we should be able to kill them off with a skill. Furina summons should be able to do the trick here. There you go. Okay, lovely, and that's yet again, once another chamber cleared easily. Okay, and it's time for the final chamber. Now, none of these buffs really help us that much, but oh well. And now this is where this NAHIDA team will really shine, because Hyper Bloom just makes this chamber so much easier. Now, once again, I know Xingqiu won't be doing any damage here because he is resistant to Hydro, but, you know, the damage reduction will be nice for helping keep up our Kurara shield and just make sure we don't get hit by, like, one massive burst. Now, the key thing with NAHIDA that you want to do is when you have her skill, you want to tag the little summons, just so that this guy doesn't go into his big form or whatever. And then, yeah, just enjoy the damage. Okay, now, as you can see, that's why Xingqiu's damage reduction is important, because this guy hits like a truck at times. And why it's also nice to have healing from Cookie and Kurara's shield. So yeah, I would definitely recommend bringing them against this guy, because he can be quite annoying. Now, like I said, Hyper Bloom just makes this boss fight so much easier. You can literally do this, like, with Hu Tao or, like, any other DPS which doesn't do Hyper Bloom. And, you know, it can be a bit challenging sometimes, but when you have Hyper Bloom, it just makes this so much easier. I actually, like, when I go against this chamber, I always want to use Hyper Bloom, otherwise it can be a bit of a painful process. I actually don't think I've tried it without Hyper Bloom, just because I don't want to bother restarting. And as you can see, we're about to finish it in the time recommended. And the thing is, we're basically clearing this with 3 characters. You can arguably say 2, because all Kurara's doing is giving us like 50 EM and burst survivability. She's not really contributing to our damage, and then Xingqiu's just giving us damage reduction. So you could, honestly, if you really wanted to, you could clear that chamber with just Cookie and NAHIDA, honestly. So yeah, it's quite busted for that team. When I say Hyper Bloom's really useful in this Abyss, it's really useful. Although I think there is only like 3 days left in this Abyss, so this will be outdated, but you saw in the last 2 chambers as well just how good the NAHIDA on-field Hyper Bloom team is. Because remember, this is floor 12, and she's making light work of floor 12. My NAHIDA, not even that good, and this is a completely free-to-play friendly team as well. Now, this chamber, once again, I mean, these guys can do a bit of damage. Honestly, I've died more times to these guys, aka like once or twice than after these guys. These guys just die insanely easily, especially if you just line them up. Like, when using Hu Tao in this chamber, I killed them without even realizing, and Hu Tao's like single target as well, so yeah. Now, from Neuvillette's burst, okay, one of the summons is already dead basically, and look, we just line them up, and look, it's done. Floor 12, finished with 45 seconds to spare, basically using only 2 characters on the first half, and then obviously Neuvillette's a bit busted, and so is Furina, but, you know, like I said, this Abyss and NAHIDA on field, very much recommended. It's a very strong combination. Now, you know, I don't want to ramble on too much about how good NAHIDA is. I've already given all my thoughts. As you can see, she's really good at C0, really good with a free-to-play build, and can be played on field or as a support. So if you have her, use her. She's amazing. Now, let's move on to our character builds and then into the outro. Okay, and now let's take a look at our character builds. So as we said, this is a free-to-play NAHIDA, so we do have her at C0. Now, when we look at our stats, we have 987 EM, and this is without Gilded Dreams. We have her on Deepwood. I know I could put Deepwood on Kurara, but we'll look at her build in a second. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I was just kind of lazy to change my Kurara's build, my NAHIDA's build, so I just kept her on Deepwood, which means, honestly, you could probably build a better NAHIDA than this. So we have around 40 to 70 crit to crit damage, just for her skill procs. Obviously, this doesn't change Hyper Bloom damage. We basically have no ER on her, which, you know, you would like to have a bit more. So looking at NAHIDA, honestly, she's not the best. We do have her on Sack Frags, and like I said, Deepwood. Obviously, we have her built full EM, as you would expect, just so that we can get that EM as we wish. As I said, C0, and then 2 10-8 talents. So yeah, even without like, to be fair, this isn't even a good Nahida, but you know, it definitely gets the job done. We were able to clear every single chamber in 90 seconds, and there was much room for improvement, so I'm sure you guys could build a better Nahida than this. Now looking at our Xingqiu, basically 50 crit, 110 crit damage with 220 ER. We do have him on an R4 sack sword. I would normally run him in Favonius, but since he's single Hydro in this team, I run him on sack. 4-piece emblem, and just build as you would expect. Attack, Hydro, and crit rate. And he is C6. And then he has 2 911 talents as well. Now our Carrara, I just gave her any sword because I didn't really care what I gave her. We're not going to be using her burst or dealing damage with her. I do have her on a mix of 2-piece HP, and she is built full HP as you would expect, just for, you know, as much of a tanky shield as I can. C0, and then her talent is level 6. She's also level 70, but has 33k HP, so, you know, she's doing pretty well for herself. Now, our Cookie has 912 EM, however, when we factor in Gilded Dreams, rather, this would give us 150 EM, because everyone else is a different element to her. Plus, Danger Resonance, this would give us 200 EM, so that would be a total of 1.1k EM. Then we do have her on this event sword. I mean, you can run her on Iron Sting, it literally makes no difference whatsoever. And then obviously just full EM for Hyper Bloom as you would want to build your Cookie. She has C5, the most important constellations are C1 and C2, since C1 just makes her easier to play, and then C2 gives you better uptime. And then 197 talents, but these don't really change the damage that much. Now, when it comes to a Neuvillette, he has 41 crit, but with Mars to say this goes up to 77 crit rate and 215 crit damage. 125 ER, which tends to be enough with this R3 unless you're not doing much damage in the chamber, like we did against this Thunder Manifestation, but then in the other chambers it was enough. Obviously, I will eventually get this R5 and that will help us. So yeah, 120 ER is about enough, but you can go to like 130 just to be safe. Now, as I mentioned, we do have him on Mars SA just for that insane amount of crit rate, as you would want anyone built. And we just have him on the standard HP, Hydro damage, and crit damage build. C0, obviously, and then 1088 talents. When it comes to our furina, 61 crit, 200 crit damage, exactly, which is just nice to look at. 173 ER, and an R5 Fav sword. 4-piece Golden Troop, once again, as you would expect. Build HP crit, and then C0, and 2 910 talents. Then, just quickly when it comes to our Jin and Zhongli, 220 ER, 52 healing bonus. You know, Fav Sword would normally run around sack, but I gave that to Xingqiu. And then just Viridescent, attack, healing bonus. And then our Zhongli is just on a shield bot build with 54k HP. Goes up to 57 in the double Hydro team. Just, you know, HP. C0, 296 talents. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. As you can see, Nahida as a on-field DPS works very well, even as a free-to-play. So yeah, I would recommend. You don't even need many Dendro DPS. She does the job just fine, but she is also a great support if you pair her with someone like Al-Haytham, and she's just also a great enabler for example, Neuvillette Hyper Bloom, which is another one of my favorite teams. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. When it comes to the next videos coming up, I believe our next video will be the Black Swan pulling video. Actually, no, it will be the 4.4 Spiral Abyss. First try. We'll see what teams I decide to use. That will be the video. Then we'll have our Black Swan pulling video for Honkai, and then maybe some more 2.0 Honkai videos and 4.4 Spiral Abyss. Until we get the second half when we have Zhao and I have a little something special planned. But yeah, be sure to subscribe, especially for that little special Zhao pulling video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.